This is Max and Mia Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Max and Mia Podcast.
My name is Mia.
And I'm Max, and we are so excited to have you here with us today.
Before we start, if you're enjoying our content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you awesome episodes like this one.
Absolutely. And trust me, you're going to want to stay for today's episode because we've got some really interesting topics lined up for you.
That's right. Today we're covering a couple of subjects that I think will be super useful for all of you out there trying to improve your English.
So let's get into it. First topic coming right up.
All right, so our first topic today is all about describing personalities. And this is super useful because, let's be honest, we talk about people all the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Whether you're describing a coworker, a friend, or even yourself in a job interview, you need to know the right words to talk about someone's personality.
Exactly. So Max, let's start with some positive traits. What's a word you really like for describing someone's personality?
I'd say outgoing is a great one. An outgoing person is someone who's very comfortable talking to new people, meeting strangers, making friends easily. They're social, you know?
Yeah, like my cousin is super outgoing. She can walk into a party where she doesn't know anyone, and within 10 minutes, she's already made 5 new friends.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Now, the opposite of outgoing would be shy. A shy person feels uncomfortable around new people and prefers staying quiet.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with being shy, by the way. Some people are just more reserved, and that's totally fine.
Absolutely. Now, another really good word is reliable. If someone is reliable, it means you can count on them. They always do what they say they're going to do.
Oh, that's such an important quality. In the workplace especially, being reliable is huge. Nobody wants to work with someone who says they'll finish something and then they just don't.
Exactly. So if your boss says you're very reliable, that's a big compliment. It means they trust you.
For sure. Okay, what about ambitious? That's another good one.
Yes, an ambitious person has big goals and dreams. They want to achieve great things in their life or career.
Like someone who starts working at a small company, but their goal is to become the CEO one day. That's ambitious.
Perfect example. Now, Mia, let's talk about some words that are kind of in the middle. Not really positive, not really negative.
Oh, you mean like stubborn?
Yes. Stubborn is a great example. A stubborn person doesn't change their mind easily. They stick to their opinion even when others disagree.
Right. And that can be good or bad depending on the situation. Sometimes being stubborn means you're determined and you don't give up. But other times it means you're not listening to good advice.
Exactly. It's all about context. Another one like that is competitive. A competitive person always wants to win, to be the best.
That's me. I'm super competitive, especially when playing sports or games.
And that's not necessarily bad. Being competitive can push you to improve and work harder. But if you're too competitive, it might make you a difficult person to be around.
True. Okay, now let's talk about some negative traits. These are characteristics that most people don't like.
All right, so one of the worst ones, in my opinion, is arrogant. An arrogant person thinks they're better than everyone else. They don't listen to other people's ideas, and they act like they know everything.
Ugh, I can't stand arrogant people. Like nobody likes a know-it-all who never admits when they're wrong.
Exactly. And another bad one is selfish. A selfish person only thinks about themselves. They don't care about other people's feelings or needs.
Right, like someone who never shares, or someone who always makes everything about them. That's being selfish.
Yep. And here's another negative one. Lazy. A lazy person doesn't want to work or make any effort. They avoid responsibilities.
Although, Max, we should mention that sometimes people call someone lazy when they're actually just tired or going through a tough time. So we need to be careful with that word.
That's a really good point, Mia. We should always try to understand the full situation before judging someone.
Exactly. Okay, what about moody? That's an interesting one.
Oh yeah, a moody person's emotions change very quickly. One minute they're happy, the next minute they're angry or sad, and you never know which version you're going to get.
That can be really difficult to deal with, especially if you're working closely with someone who's moody. You're always walking on eggshells around them.
For sure. Now, let's talk about a couple more advanced words that are really useful to know.
Okay, hit me with a good one.
For example, conscientious. This is a great word for the workplace. A conscientious person is very careful and thorough with their work. They pay attention to details and always try to do things correctly.
Ooh, I like that one. So, if someone is conscientious, they take their responsibilities seriously.
Exactly. And here's another good one. Spontaneous. A spontaneous person does things without planning. They're unpredictable in a fun way.
Like someone who suddenly decides, hey, let's drive to the beach this weekend, without making any plans ahead of time.
Perfect. That's being spontaneous. Some people love that quality, but others prefer someone who's more organized and plans everything.
Right. It depends on your own personality. Okay, Max, let's give our listeners a practical example. How would you describe yourself using 3 adjectives?
Good question. I'd say I'm reliable, easygoing, and probably a bit stubborn sometimes. What about you?
I think I'm outgoing, ambitious, and definitely competitive. Although my friends might say I'm also a bit impatient.
That's honest. And that's actually a great point for our listeners. Sometimes the way we see ourselves is different from how others see us.
So true. Like, you might think you're determined, but your coworkers might think you're stubborn.
Exactly. It's all about perspective. Now, before we move on, let's do a quick recap of some key words we've covered.
Great idea. So we talked about positive traits like outgoing, reliable, and ambitious.
We covered some neutral ones like stubborn and competitive that can be good or bad.
And we discussed negative traits like arrogant, selfish, and lazy.
Plus, some more advanced ones like conscientious and spontaneous.
Perfect. So listeners, here's your homework. Think about 3 adjectives that describe your personality. Try using some of the words we talked about today.
And if you're not sure, ask a friend or family member to describe you. It might surprise you what they say.
Just make sure they're being honest and not just being nice.
True. All right, so that wraps up our section on describing personalities. These words are super useful in everyday conversation, especially in professional settings.
Absolutely. Whether you're networking, doing a job interview, or just making small talk, knowing how to describe people accurately will make you sound much more fluent.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, should we move on to our next topic?
Let's do it. All right, so our second topic today is something really important, and honestly, something that a lot of English learners struggle with.
Oh yeah? What's that?
talking about how you feel, describing your emotions, your mental state, whether you're having a good day or a rough time.
Oh, that's so important. And you're right, it's not easy. I mean, even in our native language, sometimes it's hard to express exactly how we're feeling.
Exactly. But in English, knowing the right words to describe your emotions can really help you communicate better, especially in important situations.
Like when you're talking to a therapist, or opening up to a close friend, or even explaining to your boss why you need a mental health day.
Right. So let's cover some essential vocabulary for this. Max, let's start with the basics. How do we ask someone how they're feeling?
Well, the most common way is just, "How are you feeling?" or "How do you feel?" But if you want to be more specific, you can ask, "How are you feeling today?" or "Is everything okay?"
Great. And if someone asks you that, you need to know how to answer honestly, not just "I'm fine" all the time, you know?
Exactly, because sometimes we're not fine and that's okay. So let's talk about some ways to describe different emotional states. Mia, what if you're feeling really good?
Oh, there are so many ways. You could say, "I'm feeling great," "I'm in a good mood," or "I'm feeling fantastic today."
Yeah, and if you want to be more specific about why, you could say, "I'm feeling energized" or "I'm feeling motivated."
Right. Now, what about when things aren't so great? That's when it gets important to have the right vocabulary.
Definitely. So if you're feeling sad, you might say, "I'm feeling down" or "I'm a bit blue today." Those are common expressions.
And if you're more than just sad, if you're really struggling, you might say, "I'm going through a tough time," or "I've been feeling overwhelmed."
That's a big one. Overwhelmed. It means you have too much to deal with and you feel like you can't handle it all.
Exactly. And it's so important to be able to express that. Like, if you tell your friend, "I'm feeling overwhelmed with work," they can understand that you need support.
For sure. What about anxiety? That's something a lot of people experience.
Oh, yes. You might say, "I'm feeling anxious," or "I'm feeling stressed out." You could also say, "I'm worried about something."
And if you're feeling nervous about something specific, like a presentation or a big meeting, you can say, "I have butterflies in my stomach."
Oh, that's a great expression. Butterflies in your stomach. It's that nervous, fluttery feeling you get.
Exactly. Now, here's something important to mention. In English-speaking cultures, especially in professional settings, people are becoming more open about mental health.
That's true. It's becoming more normal to say things like, "I need to take a mental health day," or "I'm dealing with some personal stuff right now."
Right. And knowing how to express yourself in these situations is really valuable. You don't have to go into detail if you don't want to, but being able to communicate your needs is important.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered some basics, but I think the best way to really understand this is to hear it in context.
I agree. So, what we're going to do now is play a short dialogue for you.
Listen carefully to the vocabulary they use, the expressions, and how they talk about emotions in a natural way.
After the dialogue, we'll come back and break down some of the key phrases you heard. Sound good?
All right, everyone, here's the dialogue. Pay close attention.
Good morning, James. Come on in, have a seat. How have you been doing since our last session?
Hey, Dr. Martinez. Honestly, I've been better. This past week has been pretty rough, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want to talk about what's been going on? What's been making it difficult?
Well, it's a combination of things, really. Work has been absolutely crazy. My boss keeps piling on more projects, and I feel like I'm drowning in deadlines. And on top of that, I've been having trouble sleeping.
That sounds really overwhelming. When you say you're having trouble sleeping, what does that look like for you?
I just lie there, My mind won't shut off. I keep thinking about everything I need to do the next day, all the things I didn't finish today. Sometimes I don't fall asleep until 3 or 4 in the morning.
And how is that affecting you during the day?
I'm exhausted all the time. I can barely focus on anything. Yesterday, I was in a meeting and I completely zoned out. My colleague had to nudge me because someone asked me a question and I didn't even hear it. It was so embarrassing.
It sounds like you're running on empty right now. Have you been able to take any time for yourself lately? Any breaks or moments to decompress?
Not really. I feel guilty whenever I try to relax because there's always something I should be doing. Even on weekends, I'm checking my emails, preparing for Monday. I can't seem to switch off.
That must be exhausting, being in that constant state of stress. How are you feeling emotionally, beyond just tired?
I don't know. I guess I've been feeling kind of numb. Like, I used to enjoy things. I loved playing guitar, going for runs, hanging out with my friends, but lately, nothing sounds appealing. I just feel flat.
When you say flat, can you describe that a bit more?
It's like there's this heaviness, Everything feels like a chore. Even things that used to bring me joy feel like obligations now. My girlfriend wanted to go see a movie last weekend, and I just couldn't bring myself to go. I made up an excuse about being tired, but the truth is, I just didn't have the energy to pretend I was okay.
Have you talked to her about how you've been feeling?
Not really. I mean, she knows I've been stressed with work, but I haven't told her about this, about how bad it's gotten. I don't want to burden her with my problems.
James, sharing your feelings with people who care about you isn't burdening them. It's actually giving them the opportunity to support you. How do you think she'd react if you opened up to her?
She'd probably be understanding. She's always been really supportive. I guess I'm just, ashamed? Like I should be able to handle this on my own? I'm a grown man. I shouldn't be falling apart like this.
Let me stop you right there. What you're going through isn't weakness, and it's not falling apart. You're dealing with chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and what sounds like it might be burnout. These are serious issues that affect millions of people. There's no shame in struggling.
I know you're right. Logically, I know that. But it doesn't make it easier to accept,
I understand. It's a process. So, let me ask you this. What would help you right now? If you could change one thing this week, what would it be?
Honestly, I just want to sleep. A full night's sleep without my brain going a million miles an hour. I want to wake up feeling refreshed instead of dreading the day ahead.
That's a good starting point. Sleep is foundational for everything else. Your mood, your energy, your ability to cope with stress. I'd like to work with you on some sleep hygiene practices. Have you tried any relaxation techniques before bed?
I've tried listening to some meditation apps, but I get frustrated because I can't seem to quiet my mind.
That's actually very normal. Meditation isn't about having zero thoughts. It's about acknowledging them and letting them pass. But we can explore other options too. What about talking to your boss about your workload?
I've thought about it, but I'm worried. What if they think I can't handle the job? What if it affects my chances for promotion?
Those are valid concerns, but consider this. Right now, the situation is unsustainable. If things continue as they are, your performance will suffer anyway. Setting boundaries isn't a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of self-awareness and professionalism.
I never thought about it that way. Maybe you're right. I just need to figure out how to approach that conversation.
We can work on that together. For now, I want you to focus on small steps. This week, let's work on your sleep routine and maybe opening up to your girlfriend. Does that feel manageable?
Yeah, I think so. It feels less overwhelming when you break it down like that.
Good. Remember, progress isn't always linear. Some days will be better than others, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're here, you're acknowledging what you're going through, and you're taking steps to address it.
Thanks, Dr. Martinez. I actually feel a bit lighter just talking about it.
I'm glad. That's what I'm here for.
Wow, that was a really powerful conversation, wasn't it?
It really was. You could feel how much James was struggling, but also how therapeutic it was for him to just talk about it.
Absolutely. Now, let's break down some of the key language and expressions from that dialogue because there's so much we can learn from it.
Great. So, Max, let's start with one of the first things James said. I've been better. What does that expression mean?
That's a really common response in English when someone asks how you are and you're not doing well. Instead of saying I'm bad or I'm terrible, people often say I've been better. It's a softer, more polite way of saying things aren't great.
Exactly. And notice he used the present perfect there, I've been better, not I was better. That structure connects the past to the present, showing that his current state isn't good.
Great observation. Now, another phrase that stood out to me was when James said he's drowning in deadlines. That's such a vivid expression.
Oh, yes. Drowning in something means you have so much of it that you feel overwhelmed, like you can't breathe. You can drown in work, drown in emails, drown in responsibilities.
And it's much more powerful than just saying I have a lot of deadlines. The metaphor really conveys that feeling of being suffocated by your workload.
Exactly. Now, what about when Dr. Martinez said James was running on empty? I love that expression.
Oh, that's a fantastic one. It's actually a reference to a car running out of gas. So if you're running on empty, it means you have no energy left. You're completely depleted.
Right. And notice how the therapist used that to reflect back what James was saying. That's a really important communication skill, summarizing what someone said in different words to show you understand.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about something grammatical that appeared several times. James used a lot of present perfect continuous tenses, like I've been having trouble sleeping or I've been feeling kinda numb.
Yes. That's such an important tense for talking about ongoing situations that started in the past and continue to the present. It emphasizes the duration and the fact that it's still happening.
Exactly. Compare I have trouble sleeping versus I've been having trouble sleeping. The second one tells us this has been a persistent problem over a period of time.
Now, there was a phrasal verb that I think our listeners should really pay attention to. James said, "My mind won't shut off."
Oh, yes. Shut off means to stop working or to turn off. But when we talk about our minds or thoughts, it means we can't stop thinking. It's like a machine that won't turn off.
And there's another similar one he used, switch off. He said, I can't seem to switch off. Same idea, right?
Exactly. Both mean the same thing in this context. You could also say turn off or disconnect. These are all about being unable to stop your thoughts or relax.
Now, let's talk about an interesting expression, zoned out. James said he zoned out during a meeting. What does that mean?
Zoning out means losing focus completely, like your mind drifts away and you're not paying attention anymore. It's different from just being distracted, When you zone out, you're completely mentally absent.
Right. And notice he said, I completely zoned out. That adverb completely emphasizes just how disconnected he was. Then someone had to nudge him.
Yeah, nudge is a great word. It means to gently push someone, usually with your elbow, to get their attention. It's not aggressive, just a little physical reminder.
Exactly. Now, there's a really important expression about emotional state. James said he felt flat. That's quite poetic, isn't it?
It is. Feeling flat means you have no emotional highs or lows. Everything feels the same, dull, emotionless. It's different from sad. Sad is an emotion. Flat is more like numbness.
That's such a good explanation. And Dr. Martinez picked up on that and asked him to describe it more, which led to him talking about heaviness. These metaphors, flat, heavy, drowning, they're so common when people talk about depression and burnout.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about a grammatical structure that came up. James said, I should be able to handle this on my own. That's a modal verb expressing expectation or obligation.
Right. Should be able to suggests he has an expectation of himself that he's not meeting. It's different from, I can handle this, or I want to handle this. The should adds that pressure he's putting on himself.
Exactly. And that leads to another expression, falling apart. He said, I shouldn't be falling apart like this.
Falling apart is such a common expression for when someone feels like they're losing control emotionally or mentally. Like something that was together is now breaking into pieces.
Perfect analogy. Now, there was a really important phrase from Dr. Martinez. Let me stop you right there. What's the function of that?
That's a way to interrupt someone politely but firmly when you need to address something they just said. It's assertive but not rude. She needed to challenge his negative self-talk immediately.
Exactly. And then she reframed his thinking. That's a therapeutic technique, but it's also just good communication, showing someone a different perspective.
Yes. Now, towards the end, James said something interesting. I actually feel a bit lighter just talking about it. Why did he use lighter there?
Another metaphor. If problems feel heavy, then when you share them and feel relief, you feel lighter. It's the opposite of that heaviness he described earlier.
Exactly. So the dialogue came full circle, from heaviness to lightness, and that actually in his sentence shows he was maybe surprised by that feeling.
Great observation. Actually often indicates something unexpected or contrary to what you thought would happen.
So, to recap for our listeners, this dialogue was full of present perfect continuous tenses, powerful metaphors like drowning, running on empty, and falling apart, and lots of phrasal verbs like shut off, zone out, and open up.
And the emotional vocabulary was incredible. Overwhelmed, exhausted, numb, flat, ashamed. These are all words you need to express complex emotional states.
Exactly. This is the kind of English you won't always find in textbooks, but it's how people really talk about their feelings in real life.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We covered a lot of ground, didn't we?
We really did. From describing personalities to talking about emotions and feelings. These are essential topics for anyone learning English.
And remember, both of these topics are super useful in real-life situations. Job interviews, making friends, opening up to people you trust, or even just understanding yourself better.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, we have something really important to tell you guys.
Yes. If you want to review everything we talked about today, we have a free PDF with the full transcript of this episode.
That's right. You can download it completely free.
So make sure you grab that. The link is in the description of this episode.
And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep making content for you.
Yes, your support means the world to us. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, leave us a comment. We read all of them.
We really do, and we love hearing from you guys.
So, until next time, keep practicing your English, keep learning, and remember, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we grow.
Perfectly said, Mia. Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.